What's good, everybody? It's your boy back with another reaction video. I will be reacting to three disturbing true sleepover horror stories. This is someone I can't remember the person's name, but someone recommended that I react to some videos from a channel called Nightmare Files, and so this is it. I pulled a few videos off this, so we'll see how I like it. I'm curious if this is like their own narration or is it like a channel that takes other narration and does like, because I saw they had some like animated narration and stuff on the channel. I'm curious if that channel, like, they just take other narrations and post it on this, or they change it somehow. But I don't know. Like I said, I've never even seen this channel before. But let's see, I probably heard some of this stuff before. Anyway, here we go.
I said in a nervous voice, hello? For a second
I know this voice.
there wasn't any response. And then a man spoke on the other end saying,
Is this? Oh, okay. This is his intro. Okay.
Nightmare Files.
Sleepover story. I think the last time I slept over somebody's house, I think I was 17.
my name is Kevin. This story took place 7 years ago when I was 13. I had a sleepover at my friend Paul's house one night. This wasn't the first time we had a sleepover. What we would do is play video games until around 11 p.m. Then we would start trolling people on Facebook. And this night was no different. Paul and I spent
I
the
hear people
evening
do that
eating
troll me,
McDonald's,
just send me
playing video
messages
games,
and shit
watching
on
scary
Facebook
movies up until
all
around
the
10:30
time.
p.m. when we logged into Facebook using a fake account we created. It would send messages to people we knew.
I ain't gonna lie, I used to do that on
We came across
MySpace
one
back
guy
in the day.
who lived in our area, whose name was Frank. He was a black dude, buff, and had tattoos. For
So
some
you knew
reason,
he was a bad boy.
we thought it would be funny to prank call him, as his phone
Oh,
number
I
was
didn't prank
listed in his
call
bio.
anybody.
We had to ring twice before he picked up. He picked up with a firm, yeah. Paul made a joke about Frank and his appearance,
Yeah.
and we both were laughing. Frank then started cursing and yelling, and we hung up the phone laughing our heads off. The rest of the night, we made more prank calls.
You gonna
and
start
comments and
69
childish
your
things
ass.
on people's accounts. I think it was around 1 a.m. or something. Me and Paul were getting tired while watching a movie, and then we received a text from an unknown number. I asked who was that, and it said, "That's so funny," with a picture attached to it.
Oh, the picture of the
After
house.
examining the picture properly, we saw it was a street sign that wasn't far from Paul's house. We both looked at each other, scared and confused.
Oh shit.
"What if they come to my house?" Paul asked. I tried to calm him down and think rationally. He wasn't at his house, only nearby. Maybe he is only guessing where we are to freak us out a bit. We carried on watching the movie, hoping the phone wouldn't go off again. About 10 minutes later, however, we received another text without a picture this time, and it read, "Look outside." Me and Paul froze in fear. I remember being so afraid to even move. The lights were off, so
And y'all
you couldn't
13.
see
Y'all
us from
probably
outside.
pissing y'all pants.
So I got the courage to take a sneaky look through the blinds.
Cut the lights off.
I
first.
couldn't see anyone, not even a car. After scanning the street properly, I said, "Paul, there's no one out there." He checked as well. I told him it was probably just a text to scare us. He doesn't know where our house is exactly, like I said earlier. It didn't leave our minds, but we started to calm
Well,
down.
why
a
he
bit.
take a picture of that
Plus, we didn't
house?
receive a text
And
message.
it just so happened to be the
for
house
a
you're
while
in.
now. And about an hour later, me and Paul went downstairs to make some noodles. As we were cooking, we get a phone call from an unknown number. Of course, it had to be that guy who had been texting us. I said, don't answer. The phone stopped ringing. Paul then texted the number saying, I'm sorry if we upset you, but it was just a prank. The next thing that happened was the scariest thing I've ever experienced. A phone lit up just outside the kitchen window from the backyard,
Boy.
and a very large man was standing there looking at us. It was Frank. He looked so angry and held up a large knife and made a huge scratch into the window to where our necks were.
Okay, this motherfucker's crazy.
We jumped out of our skin, screamed, and ran upstairs to Paul's parents. We told them there was a man outside. They came down and checked the backyard and Frank was gone. We didn't tell the whole truth as we were afraid of getting in trouble.
Oh, yeah, you
I
prank
don't
calling
think we
people.
slept the whole night. We still had sleepovers at Paul's house, but we never pranked or trolled anyone again.
So he went
We
through
also
all
didn't
that.
hear anything from Frank, but we didn't need to. We got the message.
He went through all that just to scare you. Like, that's a lot of effort just to do that. Like you ain't even try to kill him. Like, come on.
My name is Cam. I'm 20 years old and this happened about 10 years ago. I used to live across the street
So
from
you
my
were
friend.
10.
One Saturday, my parents were going away for a night, but I didn't want to go. So we all arranged that I would sleep over my friend Eric's house. We ordered pizza. I spent the night playing video games and watched a few movies. I'm not sure what time it was. It was pretty late, probably around 1 in the morning, I think. I was flicking through Eric's PlayStation games when Eric said, I thought your parents were going away for the night.
That was somebody in your
I
house.
said, yeah, they are. But there's someone in the house, Eric said. Confused, I got up and looked out the window where Eric was looking. And there was a light on. And someone was walking around in one of the rooms. Eric asked me who that could be. I told him I had no idea. My parents were out of town for the night. And we never had anyone come over by our house unannounced,
Just call the
especially
police.
at this time of night.
Why?
Instead of waking Eric's parents
They gonna go
or
over
trying
there.
to call the police, we came up with this idea to sneak out and investigate who was in my house. Looking back, this was the dumbest thing I ever did.
Oh, you think?
But we were just young boys.
Young idiots.
We grabbed a couple of flashlights, snuck out of Eric's back door.
I was a young boy.
and
I would
headed
have done
over
no
to my house.
shit like that.
We didn't even think of how we would get in. But we didn't need to because the front door had been forced open.
Damn,
Upon
the front
entering
door.
the house, we saw there were damp, muddy footprints leading upstairs. I'm not sure if whoever was inside heard us, but we started following the footprints.
And you say you were
and one of
10.
the lights turned off. At this point, I was getting afraid, and I told Eric we should just leave and tell someone. Eric proceeded upstairs, however. I didn't follow him up. I kept
How
whispering
old is
to him,
Eric?
Eric, come, let's go. He ignored me and continued
This
going
is
up.
this is horror movie
He walked
stupidity.
into one of the rooms, and I lost sight of him. I then bravely went upstairs to see where he went.
This is
I
pissing
walked
me
into
off.
my bedroom, and a foul odor hit me in the face. I kept whispering Eric's name, but he wouldn't answer. Then I heard something. It sounded like sobbing. I was scanning the room with my flashlight. In one of the corners of the room, I could see Eric's shoes. I raised the flashlight and I saw a disgusting, dirty hand that was covered in cuts and dirt covering Eric's mouth. The next thing I saw would haunt me for the rest of my life. I raised the flashlight once more, and the person covering Eric's mouth was a man who had a massive grin on his face, a vile beard and long, straight, black and gray, greasy hair. The way he was staring at me traumatized me. His eyes were wide and filled with rage. I screamed as loud as I could and ran out the bedroom. The man proceeded to chase me down the stairs and out the house. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, he wanted Joe.
Thankfully, when he ran outside, there was a police car pulling into
Joe
the
Booty.
driveway. Someone had phoned the police when they saw flashlights and someone wandering around the house.
Oh,
The man saw the police.
this
and
must be
ran
a
off.
white neighborhood.
As he ran, there were things dropping out of his pockets, screwdrivers, a few other small tools, and one object that fell out. However, it wasn't a tool. It was a long, rusty, dirty blade. Thankfully, the man was found and arrested. Eric was unharmed, and so was I. The scary thing was the man didn't seem to have taken anything, so that suggests his interests were much, much more sinister. Eric and I remain best friends, but he nor I will ever forget this terrifying experience.
Yeah, you shouldn't, cause y'all idiots. What the fuck is with this 80s horror music? That was the most idiotic thing to do. You 10. I wouldn't do this shit, and I'm 33.
My name is Stan. I'm 17 years old, and this story happened about 4 years ago. The school I went to was in a very rural area in my village. My friend Peter went to the same school, but I lived further away. His mom would always drop him off near my house, and we would always walk to school together.
Like a muddy road.
On our way to school, we would always pass some farms, and one of them had this really old, creepy house that was abandoned for years. One day, me and Peter said we should check it out and see what's in there, basically. We couldn't go after school because, like I said, Peter lived further away, and his mom needed to get him home. This was also during the winter, so it got dark sooner. For myself and Peter, we came up with the plan that Peter would have a sleepover around my house. And when my
Have an
parents were
excuse
asleep,
so we can go over
we
there
would
and
sneak
fuck
out
off.
and explore the abandoned farmhouse. It was Friday, and the past few days had been snowing. After school, Peter came to my house. We spent the evening playing video games and looking up creepy videos on the internet, anxiously waiting to sneak out. 1 a.m. rolled around, and we put our coats on and snuck out my bedroom window, which is ground level. We had one flashlight between the both of us, which
Y'all
Peter
already
managed to
fucking
sneak
up.
out of his dad's garage. We walked through the farm fields and made it to the house. Naturally, the first thing we did was try to open the front door, but it was locked. We looked around at a few of the windows, and one of them was smashed open. So we used this as our entrance.
Because somebody else already in it
Surprisingly,
jerking off.
The place seemed rather untouched for how long it had been rumored to be abandoned. It was just covered in dust and had a really strong smell. Not bad necessarily, but it did smell odd. I shone my flashlight to the top of the stairs.
That's the smell of
Couldn't see
decay.
anything, but it seemed really eerie up there. And then I heard wood creaking. It kind of sounded like slow footsteps, but I wasn't certain.
Somebody,
Peter then
time to
said,
go.
"We should check upstairs."
Of course.
I told him I'm not going up
But
there.
hell-
There's probably some maniac up there waiting to kill us.
Nah,
The next thing that
waiting
happened
to
was
fuck y'all. That's what
the
waiting
phone
to do.
rang. One of those really old phones made myself and Peter jump
Man, I
out
would
of
have
our skin.
ran out.
At that time, I didn't think about it, but I thought it was weird of how someone was calling this house and it was abandoned. I picked
If
it
the
up
phone
and I
works,
said in a nervous voice, hello?
why would you pick it up?
For a second there wasn't any response. And then a man spoke on the other
Get the
end
fuck
saying,
out.
"I'm not a maniac. Why don't you come upstairs and see for yourself?" At that point, loud, heavy footsteps ran across the upstairs room and toward the top of the stairs.
I'm not a maniac, but I'm
Peter
horny
and I
as
ran out the
fuck.
farmhouse as fast as we could. We ran
He
out
says,
down to
"I'm
the farm.
horny for young
I glanced back to
boys."
see if there was
Some
someone
shit.
chasing us, but there wasn't. So I told Peter to slow down so we could catch our breath for a second.
Slow down.
After taking a better look at the house, one of the upstairs lights was on, and there was a dark figure standing at the window, watching us. I didn't know what to
Michael
think,
Myers, some shit.
and honestly, I was terrified. The light then turned out, and the both
See, I
of us
peed
made
a
our
little
way
bit.
back to my house. We managed to sneak back inside without making my parents wake up. Peter didn't say much.
Yeah.
I think he was too creeped out as to what just happened. And to be honest, I didn't feel like talking either. I was actually quite paranoid that, I don't know, that guy was
This
gonna
is
follow
Michael
us to my
Myers
house.
music.
Thankfully,
Oh no, okay, well, it's
At
kind
least
of
to
like
what I
Michael
know
Myers
of.
music. It's not the
we
same.
weren't followed. From that night on, every time me and Peter walked to school, we look at that creepy farmhouse. We can't help but feel someone's looking back at us.
Damn, his music is creepy. This motherfucker, so like this person called So who's ever at that house? Like, how the fuck do they know the number? Like, they have to have either that has to be their house, and they got foreclosed on maybe, and maybe the bank owns it, and they haven't done anything with it yet, so they just like
Nightmare
sitting,
files.
what they call it, squatting there. But like whoever that was, that's some creepy shit. Like, dude called downstairs. I'm not a maniac. What would you come up here to find? That one was crazy. I did not expect a phone to ring. And like the call is coming from inside the house. I never had any like creepy or scary sleepover experiences. Um, Even when like, cause when I was down south, and we were like, I was staying over my auntie's house. Well, she was really like my cousin, but we, black folk we call her cousin auntie when they were way older than us. But I even there, like it was like when at her house at night it'd be pitch black. Besides, like if you ever been in a rural area, a rural area, it's usually a light or maybe a few lights around the house. Some houses just have one light, and then pitch blackness until you get to the next house, and they have a light or maybe a few lights like around their property or around the house, I should say. So it is like that in in rural areas, and that's the way she lived at. And we was sometimes we spend a night over there, like Fridays and Saturdays, stuff like that. And I've never had a issue because her house was like almost like a quarter of a mile from the road too. That's how far back her house was from the road. So you could see people coming. Plus they had to walk past a house that was closed, like was basically right on the road. But in that house, I remember people bought the house, they repainted it in like canary yellow. But and they had a light on their house. But you could see people coming, so we used to always like if someone was driving up, like people would turn around, they would, oh, I'm going the wrong way, come in, back out and go back the opposite way. But if we saw lights coming and they kept coming, because as far away as our house was from the road, we'd be like, who is that? Because like, we know it ain't her. And like it wouldn't be my dad or anybody else. We're like, who is that? Because everybody's here. You know, we had one person do that. I guess they thought they were at the wrong house, but they wanted to get out and they couldn't see the numbers on the house. So they walked up. They drove up, stopped, and they were just sitting out there for a second, and then they left. So I don't know what that was about. But the scariest thing that really ever happened over a friend's house, it wasn't a sleepover. I was just visiting. One of my friends, that was still my best friend. We were in his room. Somebody walked up to his door, his front door, because his house, his window to his room faced the front yard, so you could see people coming, walking down his driveway up to his front door. And the way he had like white curtains, but they were like thick, almost like plastic and cloth type curtains, and you couldn't see in, but you could see out. So it was, unless it was nighttime, but it was daytime right now. So at that moment it was daytime, so you could see out, but you couldn't see in because we didn't have any lights on in because the light we were using a natural light coming from outside. And some random black guy walked up. Now I'd never seen this guy before, and at this time I've been living in a small town, and you would think you would see. I think I've seen everyone who lived in that town at least once up to that point. I think it was like 15, it might have been 16. And we was sitting there, we was like, who was that? I don't know. He didn't knock. We could hear him open the screen door because we couldn't see it from there, but we could hear it. I heard the screen door open, but he didn't knock and he didn't ring the doorbell. Well, No, at that time she didn't have a doorbell, so he didn't knock. I'd be like, okay. Uh, he walks back, and we see him walk past the window. And at this point, they had added a room onto the side of their house, and it was a door there that lay right outside. So it was in a room, then it lay right out. There was a door that lay right outside to the side of the house. He walked around and walked up to that door, and we were like, the hell? And so we walked around to that, to the like close to the room, and his mother had like black, not with like dark curtains, or like brown curtains. No, she had blinds. They were blinds up there. She had curtains on the other windows that was facing the yard because she had other windows, but they were like big brown curtains, and these were blinds on the door. And you could see the door like he was trying to open it, and he was like twisting. Then you see the knob kind of moving, like he was trying to open it, and we were like, "What the fuck?" And we were just dead quiet, because he had muted the TV already, so he couldn't. But when we first saw the guy walking up to the house, and the guy walked after that, we were standing away from the door, looking at it, just in case he like started ramming it or something. He walked off, and when he walked off, we walked into my friend's room again so we could see if he was leaving. This guy walked back around to the front, walked up to my friend's window. He didn't walk right up to it, but he walked like where because they had like a walk path that went, a concrete walk path that went up to their front door. He was like standing there, but in between that they had like a little, kind of like a garden that was probably about 3 feet away from the three. It was 3 feet from the walkway to the house, and that was the garden, and 3 feet wide. So he just stood there, like looking at the window, just like he wasn't like doing like he was trying to say. He was just like staring at the window. We was like, what the? We stood there, like what the fuck? Now we were unnerved, but we weren't really scared because at this point, like I said, I was either 15 and 16, but I was like, I think I was 6 foot, and I weighed almost 200 pounds. At that point, I was practicing martial arts, so I thought I could just whoop everybody's ass. And my friend, I think he was like 5'9", maybe. I think he's like 5'11" now. I think at the time he's like 5'9", and he's a slimmer guy. So, but still, like he could fight too. So I was like, we weren't. And plus, his mother, I think she still had that rifle in her house. So he knew where that was at. But we was like, what is going on? The dude was just standing there. He stood there for about 5 minutes, and then he just turned away. And he didn't walk on the driveway like he did before. He just walked through the grass, through the yard, up to the street, and then walked down the street. And I never seen that guy again. I lived in that town. Like I said, if I was around 15, 16, I lived in that town for another 2 to 3 years, I think, after that. And never saw that guy again, ever. So I don't know who that was or where he came from. Did he even live in that town? Was he just passing through? And maybe, because I like, it's not like it's an old house, like, like I've visited the house that I grew up in Chicago, here, my family doesn't own it anymore, because my grandmother bought it, but she don't, but when she died, it went to the children, and they kind of just split they all sold it and split up the profits, but it wasn't that, because my friend and his mother, they've been living in that house at that point, I think 17, 18 years, something like that. And they always, like, it was always in their family. They just, that she moved there, I think she bought it from her mother. So her mother had it before her, but then her mother ended up moving and then just gave the house to her. So I don't know. Well, she bought the house from her mother, but well, she didn't buy it. She just transferred the mortgage to her. That would make more sense than buy the house from. But yeah, that's the creepiest thing that's ever happened as far as like that. I guess close to like a sleepover, even though we weren't sleeping over, but like with that type of thing, would that happen? And that was just, it was more unsettling. Just the part that he was just standing there, you know, 'cause he was like, oh, he's just trying to break in because there was no cars in the driveway, so he thought maybe thought he'd just break in, and the house right next to us was the people moved out of there and the house was abandoned. I think they got foreclosed on too. So, and a lot of the stuff had grown up on the side, like the trees. They had a big tree and a few other trees, and like it's a bunch of shrubbery just had grown up, so it was hard to see around that unless you see it right from the road. So that maybe that's why he went on that side of the house to try to get in, because there was no back door. So it was only they only had two doors on either side of the house and then a front door. But I was like, he didn't even try the front door because we didn't hear him turn the knob, front door, nothing. He just opened the screen door. I don't know if he was listening or something. But then he stopped. He stopped at that window, which is just unsettling. So, but anyway, hope you all enjoyed my reaction. If you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Hit that bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. Subscribe if you're new here. Did I just say that? I meant to say yeah. I meant to say comment down below if you'd like me to keep doing these reactions from these from these different channels. I've already had done something like Mr. Nightmare and Unit 522. But I was kind of moving away doing it because not a lot of people was looking at it. But I checked when I get that message, a person recommended this. I checked. Some people have been watching them, so I was like, okay, maybe I'll do some more of them if y'all want. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.